Hello students, welcome to my class. Today I am going to discuss a new portion of your syllabus, that is, the name of this portion is integral calculus and it consists of 20 marks. Okay, and previously I have already discussed another portion and it was numerical analysis, and I have discussed in my previous videos. Okay, so you can check them. Now today my point of discussion is integral calculus and 20 marks are allotted for this section. Okay, so today I am going to discuss the definition of the integration and some elementary integral formula of function. Then it will be followed by the definite integral and the geometrical interpretation of definite integral and some problems. Okay, hope you will understand and enjoy the class. So let me start, right? So first of all, I am going to define the definition of integration. Okay, so first of all I am going to define the definition of integration. So let capital F of x be the differential coefficient of the function small f of x is equal to y. Actually f of x equal to y. So capital F of x is the differential coefficient of small f of x. So how can I write this? That is ddx of small f of x equal to capital F of x, right? Because f of x is the differential coefficient of small f of x. Now actually integration is just the opposite form of differentiation. Okay, so in the form differentiation is denoted by ddx of f of x, and there is a symbol, a particular symbol that defines the integration of the function. Okay, so we can say that f of x is an integral or primitive of capital F of x. Okay, so therefore f of x can be written like this, that is integration capital F of x dx. Okay, so if ddx of small f of x is capital F of x, then integration of capital F of x dx is small f of x. So these two method, that is the differentiation and the integration, are just the opposite form of each other. Okay, so that is, you all know that ddx of log x. Okay, what is ddx of log x? It is 1 by x. Now integration of 1 by x dx equal to log x. Okay, so differentiating log x you get 1 by x. Again integrating 1 by x you get log x. Okay, so just the opposite form. Okay, now similarly ddx of sin x is cos x. You all know that. Again integration of cos x dx, again integration of cos x dx is sin x. So if you differentiate sin x you are getting cos x, and if you integrate cos x you are getting sin x. Okay, so that is the examples of this definition. Okay, so if f of x is the differential coefficient of f of x, this small f of x, then you can write this, and therefore this small f of x is the integral of capital F of x, and these are the examples. Okay, so this is actually the basic definition of the integration. Okay, now actually in integration we will get another constant, that is that is, you can write that if f of x is an integral of capital F of x, then f of x plus c, okay, where c is the constant of integration, c is again the integral of f of x. How can it be possible? That is, you all know that d dx of small f of x equal to capital F of x. You all know that, I have already discussed it. Now again d dx of f of x plus c equal to capital F of x, okay, because since c is a constant, so the d dx of any constant is 0. So you can write this f of x plus 0 as f of d dx of f of x plus c, because both the expression have the same meaning, okay. If you introduce c, that does not change the meaning of the definition, okay. So you can write it, so therefore f of x plus c is equal to integration capital F of x dx, okay. So you can say that if f of x is the integral of capital F of x, then f of x plus c is again the integral of capital F of x, okay. So these are just the basic definition of integration. Now I am going to mention some elementary integral formula of functions, okay, because these formulas are very important whenever you are going to solve, or whenever you are going to calculate some kind of problems of integrations, okay, because okay. So I am going to remove this. Now coming to my next portion, that is the elementary formula of integrals, or you can say it elementary integrals, okay. So therefore what was the formula? That is, it is obviously known to you, but I think I should mention this formula because that would be a kind of reminder or a kind of remembrance of your of this kind of formula, okay. So integration x to the power n dx, you can write it as x to the power n plus 1 divided by n plus 1, and obviously n not is equal to minus 1. This is actually the first formula for integration. Now the number 2 is, that is integration 1 by x dx, so you can write it as log x, okay. Now in number 3, integration e to the power x dx, you can write it e to the power x. Now in number 4, integration a to the power x dx, you can write it a to the power x log e base a, okay. Now in number 5, whenever we are going to integrate the trigonometric function, that is integration sin x dx equal to minus cos x, okay. Integration cos x dx equals to plus sin x, okay. And actually you can write it cos x plus c or sin x plus c, but I am omitting it because it is obviously known to you, okay. Now integration sec square x dx equal to tan x. Note that whenever you are integrating sec square x, you are getting tan x, and whenever you are differentiating tan x, you will get sec square x, okay. This number 8, integration sec x tan x dx equal to sec x. Obviously this sec x tan x will be obtained whenever you are going to differentiate sec x, okay. Now number 9 is integration cosec x cot x dx, that is equal to minus cosec x, and number 10 that is integration minus cosec square x dx, that is cosec square x dx, you will get minus cot x. Okay, now if there are something, that is if there are sin 2x dx, then you can write it as minus cos 2x by 2. Okay, that is if it is sin mx dx. Okay, that is if it is suppose sin mx dx, then you can write it as minus cos mx by m. Okay, so here I have mentioned the general formula. So if m is equal to 2, then you will get minus cos 2x by 2. Okay, similarly you can get cos mx, that will give you sin mx by m. Then in the place of sec square mx, you will get tan mx by m. Similarly for the other formulas. Okay, so I am writing just the elementary portion. Okay, now this is actually the general formula. So if m is equal to 1, you will get this one. Okay, because if m is equal to 1, it will give you sin x. Okay, so integration sin x dx, you will get cos x by 1, so it is minus cos x. Okay, minus cos x by 1, so therefore minus cos x. So these are all the elementary properties, and they are very, very important for solving the problems of integrations. Okay, and they are just the opposite form of differentiation, that is if you differentiate the left hand side, the right hand side function, you will get the left hand side function, and if you integrate the left hand side function, you will get the right hand side function. Okay, so till now I have discussed the definition of the integration and some elementary integral formula. Okay, now I am coming to my next portion, that is the, okay, there are two results also, that is very elementary results, that is if integration a into f of x dx, that is if a is a constant, then you can take a out of this integration integration symbol, then it will give you a into integration f of x dx. Similarly, if it is the addition or the subtraction of two function, okay, then this integration will be distributed over the addition and the subtraction, that is you can write it as separately, you can write it integration f of x dx plus minus integration g of x dx, where f of x and the g of x are two functions of x. So these are also two properties of integration. Okay, that is the constant can be come out from this integration side, and again the integration is distributed over the addition as well as over subtraction. Okay, so if it is a plus or it is a minus, so it does not matter anything, the integration can be easily distributed. Okay, now in the next portion I am going to discuss the definite integral. Actually this is the main starting point of this section. Okay, integral calculus, because the first portion of your integral calculus actually contains this topic, the definite integral. Okay, so till now I have just discussed the definition of the integration and some elementary integral formula and some results of integration. Okay, so now I am going to remove it. So this is the actually main point of discussion, that is the definite integral, and this is the first point of this section in your syllabus. Okay, so what is definite integral? So first of all I am going to define the definition of the definite integral. Okay, that is in our integral calculus the geometrical interpretation is very very important. Okay, so for that is you have to find out the area of some region bounded by some type of curves, then for which the definite integral are going to be used. Okay, so this portion is very very important. So I can write the definition of the definite integral like that, that is sometimes it becomes necessary to find out the difference in the values of integral function f of x for two assigned values of the independent variable x, say a comma b. Okay, this difference is called the definite integral of f of x over the closed interval a comma b, and is denoted by integration a to b f of x dx. Okay, so previously I have discussed only the integration. Okay, so there was that is integration f of x dx. Okay, I have only discussed such type of integration, that is integration sin x dx, integration log x dx, integration x to the power n dx. Okay, but now there is a definite limit. Okay, that is a to b. So what is the definition is saying that it becomes necessary to find out the difference values of this integral function between two pre-assigned values of x. Okay, that is x equal to a and x equal to b, and x is the obviously the independent variable, because you all know that y equal to f of x. So y is dependent and x is independent variable, and y is dependent on x. So between two independent variables x equal to a and x equal to b, so I have to find out the difference of the function. Okay, for such cases this type of integration is called the definite integral. Okay, definite integral of this function f of x. Okay, now this kind of integrations are very much useful whenever you are going to find out the area bounded by some the area or some region bounded by some curves. Okay, so so for that kind of problems these definite integrals are widely used. Okay, so this is the usefulness of the definite integral. Now this integration a to b f of x dx is actually f of b minus f of a, that is the value of the integration at the lower limit minus the value of the value of the integration at the upper limit minus the value of the integration at the lower limit. Okay, so that is actually you can write it as a to b, and it will give you f of b minus f of a. Okay, so this is the formula for, or this is the definition of the definite integral. Okay, now definite integral is always unique. Okay, remember that definite integral is always unique. That is, if you integrate some functions between some limits a to b, between, that is the lower limit and the upper limit, between some limit, then it will always give you an unique value. Okay, now I can consider some examples. So I am removing this one. So I can consider some example, that is suppose I am just some elementary example. Okay, that is integration 1 to 2 x dx. Okay, so how do you evaluate this one? That is, I have already told you the formula, that is integration x to the power n dx is x to the power n plus 1 by n plus 1 and n not is equal to minus 1. Okay, that was the first formula for the elementary integral formula. Okay, that was the first that was in the first number. Okay, now for this, so here the power of the x is 1, so 1 plus 1. Okay, because n is here 1. Okay, so 1 plus 1 means x square divided by 1 plus 1, so therefore this is 2 and this is from 1 to 2. So the value of this function at the upper limit, okay, so 2 square by 2 minus the value of this function at the lower limit, that is 1 square by 2. Okay, so you can write it as, that is 4 by 2, so this is 2 and this is minus half and therefore 3 by 2. So this is the answer. Okay, so it will give you a definite unique value. Okay, so if you are going to integrate some functions between to definite limit, then it will always give you an unique value. Okay, now that is, then another example like that, that is integration 1 plus x square dx. Okay, so it will give you, so you always know that integration 1 to, I have forgot to mention this one, that is if integration 1 plus x square dx, it will give you tan inverse x. Okay, and integration root over 1 minus x square dx, it will give you sin inverse x or minus cos inverse x, and it will give you tan inverse x or minus cot inverse x. Okay, and the integration 1 by x into root over 1 minus x square dx, it will give you sec inverse x or minus cosec inverse x. Okay, that was the formula for inverse. Okay, and so for this portion, since there is a formula, that is integration 1 plus x square dx is equal to tan inverse x, and the limit is mentioned here, that is 0 to 1. Okay, so according to formula you can write it as tan inverse x. Okay, and the this is the lower limit and this is the upper limit, then tan inverse of the upper limit minus tan inverse of the lower limit, so it will give you pi by 4 minus 0, so therefore the answer is pi by 4. Okay, so they are very elementary kind of definite integral. Okay, that is, similarly I am removing this one. So similarly you can, there are another example, that is integration 0 to pi by 2 sin x dx. Okay, so I have already mentioned that integration sin x dx equal to minus cos x. Okay, so you can write it as minus cos x and therefore 0 to pi by 2. Okay, so therefore the value of the function cos x at the point at the upper limit, that is at pi by 2, so minus of minus cos 0, so therefore this is plus cos 0. Now cos pi by 2 is 0 and cos 0 is 1, so it will give you 1. Okay, so these are very elementary examples of definite integrals. Okay, now I am going to discuss a very important portion of the definite integral, that is the geometrical interpretation of definite integral. So hope you have understood this. That is, this kind of integration is called a definite integral whenever you are going to find out the difference of this integral between two pre-assigned values of x, that is x equal to a and x equal to b. Okay, so this b is called the upper limit and this a is called the lower limit. Okay, and wherever you are going to integrate some kind of function between two definite values, then the result will be like that, that is the value of the function at the upper limit minus the value of the function at the lower limit, and it will give you the desired result. Okay, so I have discussed here 3 examples of definite integral, that is 3 very simple examples of definite integral. Now I am going to discuss the geometrical interpretation of definite integral. Okay, so I am going to remove this. That is the geometrical interpretation of definite integral. Okay, so here I will draw a curve and I will create a region between two definite values of the independent variable x, and then I will discuss that how it will be very much useful to find out the area of some region. Okay, that is the main role in mathematics for integral calculus. Okay, so I am considering the function y equal to f of x, right, and this is the definite integral, that is integration a to b f of x dx. Okay, so it denotes the area bounded by the curve y equal to f of x between x equal to a and x equal to b. Okay, so this denotes the area bounded by the curve y equal to f of x between x equal to a and x equal to b. So first I am drawing the curve. Okay, so this is the ordinates, that is ox, and this is y, and these curves may be of 2 types, so therefore I am drawing 2 ordinates. So ox, so this is the x ordinates and the y ordinates. Okay, now this is the curvelet. Okay, and this curve may be like this one also. Okay, so that is, it may be increasing order, or it may be in the decreasing order. So the curves may be of 2 types. Okay, now let a denote the area bounded by the curve. So let a denote the area bounded by the curve. Okay, so AG, and AG is the fixed ordinate or ordinate. Okay, where OA equals to x. This AG is the fixed ordinate. Okay, and this ordinate, that is MP, this ordinate MP is the variable ordinate. Okay, so it can change. So I am writing it more clearly. So this MP, so this MP is y, okay, and this MP is y is equal to f of x, and this is OA equal to x. So this can be changed. Now I am considering a very a point that is very near to P, okay. So this may be NQ. So the ordinate of P will be, so the ordinate of Q will be like that, x plus delta x and y plus delta y, because this delta is the very small increment, that is this P and Q are very close to each other, okay. So therefore this delta is a very small portion. Actually P has the ordinate x comma y, okay. P has the ordinate x comma y, okay, and this is very very close to P. So this Q is very much close to P. So therefore the ordinate will be like that, that is x plus delta x and y plus delta y, that is a very small increment, okay. So therefore this ON is equal to x plus delta x, and this NQ equals to x plus this NQ equals to y plus delta y, okay, and this Mn is actually delta x, okay. This is a very small increment, okay. This is this very small increment because this P and Q are very close to each other. So in this curve also you can write it like that, that is it is a decreasing order. So first of all this is AG. Now I am considering the point P, it has the coordinate xy, and this is PM and this is QN, because it has the coordinate x plus delta x comma y plus delta y, okay. So okay, so therefore this portion is delta x, okay. So this is the increasing curve and this is the decreasing curve, and for both the cases this Mn is delta x, okay, and this Q is x plus delta x, y plus delta y, and the ordinate of P is xy, okay. So the change, so the increment delta A in A corresponds to the change delta x in the area that is MNQPM, okay, in the area MNQPM, okay. So in this closed area, right, so this is the rectangle here and this is the rectangle here, okay. So so what I have done here till now, I am considering a curve y equal to f of x, and this is a fixed point AG. Now I am considering a point P and having the coordinate x comma y, and so this OM is actually x and this MP is y. Similarly this is, so this OM is actually x, so OA is in the x ordinate actually, okay. This OA is not x actually, this OM is x, okay. This OM is x and this MP is y, and I am considering a very close point of P having the coordinate x plus delta x and y plus delta y, where this ON according to the x axis, ON is x plus delta x and this NQ is y plus delta y and this Mn is delta x, okay. This is the small increment in x, okay. Similarly in this curve also, okay. Now in figure 1, so this is the figure 1. obviously I am writing here. So this is the figure 1 and this is figure 2. Okay. Now in figure 1, what is this? That is the area of the rectangle is y plus delta y into delta x, because this is y plus delta y and this is delta x. So the area of the rectangle, you always know that the length into width. Okay. So this is the length and this is the width. So y plus delta y into delta x, and that should be greater than delta a. Obviously this is greater than delta a, and that should be greater than y into delta x. So that should be greater than this y into delta x. Okay. So you can write it as, that is y plus delta y is greater than delta a by delta x and is greater than y. Okay. So if q tends to p, so if q tends to p, so therefore the difference tends to 0, because if q tends to p, so there will be no difference delta x. So that shows that delta x tends to 0. Okay. So this shows that dA dx equals to y. dA dx equal to y equal to f of x, obviously. So therefore this dA dx equal to y equal to f of x if q tends to p and delta x tends to 0. Now in this figure, so now in figure 2, what is actually it what does it actually going to explain? That is this y into delta x. So this is the y, so this y into, so this portion is smaller than this portion. Okay. So this y into delta x greater than obviously delta a, and this will be greater than, so this portion is greater than this area. Okay. So you can write it as y plus delta x, y plus delta y into delta x. Okay. Now this y is greater than delta a by delta x and it is greater than y plus delta y. Okay. Similarly, if q tends to p and delta x tends to 0, that is if q tends to p, so that shows that delta x tends to 0, and that shows that dA dx equals to y equals to f of x. So for both the pictures, dA dx equals to y is equal to f of x. So that is very important. Okay. Now if you want to, so I am going to remove it. Now if we want to integrate it, that is integration a to b f of x dx, so that will give you integration a to b. So our problem was this integration a to b f of x dx, so that will give you integration a to b dA dx, because y is equal to dA dx for both the cases. So therefore that is f of x equal to dA dx for both the cases. Therefore you can write a, so after integrating you will get a, because dA dx, so therefore it will give you a. So the value of a, at the point b. So now I am writing another point, that is another ordinate BH. Okay. Such that this OB is equal to B. Okay. So here again also I am writing another ordinate BH. Okay. So I am writing BH. So where OB is equal to B. Where OB is equal to B. Okay. So I am writing another ordinate. So what I am doing, I am just finding out the area between these two fixed ordinate AG and BH. Okay. Where this portion is equal to A and this portion is equal to B. So therefore this shows that the value of A at B minus the value of A at small a. So therefore the area of the region so what is the region? That is GA B H G. Okay. So it shows that GA B H G A B H G A minus the area. So the area at the point A, okay. So this is actually 0 because at the point A the region is 0, okay. So therefore this shows that area of the region GABHGA, okay. So here I have written all the proof. Now I am going to explain. So what was the problem? That is the function y equal to f of x, and you have to integrate it between a to b, and that you have to show that it will denote the area bounded by the curve y equal to x between x equal to b a and x equal to b. Now what I am doing here, I have taken a curve that may be increasing or may be decreasing, okay. So this portion is a fixed portion, okay. Now I am taking a point P, and this is the y coordinate and this is the x coordinate for P, and then I have considered a point Q that is very close to P, and it is again for both the curve, okay. So it has the coordinate x plus delta x and y plus delta y, okay. So now I am considering the area of this portion, okay, the area of this portion. So the area of this portion in the figure 1 is y plus delta y into delta x, and that should be greater than this portion, this delta a, that should be greater than delta x. So here delta x means delta a, I have already told you, that is the increment delta a in a corresponds to the change of delta x in x. So, okay, so that is delta a, and that should be greater than y plus y into delta x, because this rectangle should be less than this rectangle. So therefore the area should be greater than this one. So now I have just divided by delta x from both the sides, and if q tends to p, so this delta x tends to 0, and therefore dA dx equal to y equal to f of x, okay. This is for figure 1. Now in figure 2 also, since it is a decreasing, so this portion should be greater than this portion. So that shows that y delta x, that is greater than delta a, and that is greater than y plus delta y into delta x, and therefore if you divide it by delta x from both sides, and if q tends to p, that shows that delta x tends to 0. So therefore dA dx equals to y equals to f of x, okay. Now in the place of f of x you can write dA dx, because it is proved from both the curve, okay. So therefore the value of a at the point B, because I have drawn another coordinate BH such that OB is equal to B and BH corresponds to the y coordinate, okay, for both the cases. Now the area of the region at GABHGA, okay. So this is the area minus the area of the region at the point A. So this point A should be 0, okay, the area. So so this shows that this explains the area of the region which is bounded by the curve, and that is y equal to f of x, okay. So that was the geometrical interpretation of definite integral. So in my today's class I have discussed the definition of the integration and some elementary integral formula, some theorems, some results on integration, and then it was followed by some the definition of the definite integral, and finally the geometrical interpretation of definite integral, that it shows that why it is needed to use the definite integral. That is, the main role of definite integral is to find out the area of the region bounded by the curve y equal to f of x, and from both the curves this result is proved. That is, if the curve is increasing or the curve is decreasing, for both the cases this this definite integral explains this definite integral determines the area of the region this bounded by the curve y equal to f of x, okay. So hope you have understood this topic. Now in my next class I will discuss some problems on definite integral, that is the area bounded by the region, because it may be something very much difficult to you, but whenever you are going to solve some problems on this geometrical interpretation, then it will be much more easier. So I think I should continue it in my next class. So till then, stay tuned. Thank you.